Challenger service in Gray, Tennessee. We have just been open for a little over a year now, and come across a few things that we thought we'd pass out to you guys, maybe help you take care of your rifles in the future here. Also, a couple of suggestions or recommendations. One of the first recommendations we want to talk about is the storage of your air rifle. When you're storing your air rifle, you should close the bolt. Even if you're on a range, once you've finished firing, most ranges will let you close the bolt, discharge the air, get the weapon gone. You want to carry your rifle around with the bolt closed. You don't want to carry around with the CBI inside of it. The other thing on rifle cases is you don't want to store your rifle in this type of rifle case. Moving it from point A to point B, it's okay, but you don't want to leave it stored in there because that foam that's inside of those rifle cases actually attracts moisture, which helps speed up the rusting on the rifles. When we was talking about the CBIs, of storing the weapons with the CBIs in it, a lot of the times you put the CBI in it, the kids have a tendency to close the charging handle pretty tight on them, and over time, what you're going to end up with is your charging handle and your bolt looking like this with a bend on it. That's actually caused by this being shoved down and closed down on the CBI. So you need to tell your kids to be real careful of that, not to push that bolt down. And again, we recommend storing the weapon when it's in the case, when you're traveling point A to point B, have the charging handle closed, pull the trigger, get the pressure, the gas released off of it. When you get back home, take it out of the case, try to put it in an armory or a locker or something where you can lock it up. Preference is that you have a dehumidifier to keep the humidity down. Some of the things that we've run across, you need to make sure that if you're using a company to repair your weapons, repair your rifles, that it is somebody that's using certified Crosman parts on it. This is an old valve gauge port from one of the older rifles, 2010 and earlier, but hopefully you can see this, but this is a substandard O-ring that was put in this gauge port, and the rifle obviously started leaking. Most of the repair places now will replace this with a new gauge ports. The other thing is, and these are pretty hard to see, but these are O-rings that are put inside of them. I'm going to try to hold the one that is especially out of round. That is an O-ring that somebody has repaired one of the gauge ports with. That is an off-brand. It went out, I don't know, AutoZone or someplace like that. This is an actual Crosman O-ring bought from the company, and as you can see, over time, that's how they hold up. This one is actually, I know it's hard to see on the film, but this is real hard. The Crosman O-ring is much better. And that goes on the gauge ports. Going on your fill adapter, and this is a substandard one. This is an off-market O-ring. This is a Crosman O-ring. This one almost is kind of square instead of being round. So when you're having your weapons worked on, make sure that you're using Crosman parts in here. A couple of other things real quick. We talk about the moisture. If you've got a leak and you're doing a leak test, don't do it in water. If you're doing a leak test to see if it's leaking, you need to use oil around wherever you think it's leaking to see if it bubbles up. If you use it on water, you're actually going to get rust on the insides of the rifle. It's very hard to get off of. This is what they look like. Actually, these rifles were serviced about 2 years ago. Now, I'm not saying these were put in water, but it sure looks like it. The other problem is the valve stems. You need to make sure that they're putting quality valve stems in them. Make sure that your repairman is checking those valve stems when they take them apart. Not using quality parts and quality O-rings can result in something like this. This is a major meltdown. That stem is actually burned up inside of that thing. So that's not using quality parts. Degassing your rifle. If you don't know how to degas it, that's not the way to do it. This is a degassing tool that is actually broken off inside the weapon. We'll take this out, get rid of it. Your adjustments on your triggers, don't adjust them down too tight because you end up with broken triggers. And obviously, when you're degassing your rifle, make sure that you're following the manual exactly, or you're going to break the sears in your rifle. The other thing too is again, we recommend, although we probably sound like we're selling our own business here, but you need to make sure you're using somebody who knows how to work on these weapons. This is a trigger housing that somebody actually stripped the screws out of. We were able to get at least the guts out of the inside of this, and what was still good, reuse. But we actually had to drill this out because somebody had worked on it, didn't know what they were doing. So again, when you're on the bolt, this is Crosman lube here. You need to make sure that you're putting a drop of this on that O-ring every once in a while to keep that lubed up. Make sure you're using Crosman lube for that. And last but not least, when we have the kids finish firing for us at our school, we have them wipe the weapons down. This weapon has actually already been cleaned some, but if you could see the discoloration here, when we first got it, it was solid rust. And again, that's just how it's being stored in the case, being stored somewhere without having a dehumidifier or something like that. We do recommend that you get this. It's a marine tough cloth made by Century. You go online and get it. Have your cadets wipe the weapons down when they're getting ready to put them in the armory. They don't want to leave a lot of the stuff on it, but it puts a real almost like a coat of oil. This is used for marine crafts, so it's real good in high humidity areas. So again, just a few tidbits to throw out there for you to think about. If you have any questions on your Crosman rifles, feel free to call us, let us know. And again, keep us in mind when you're ready to have your repair work done. From Gardner's Challenger Service, thank you, and we'll see you again real soon.